So this case is about a 34-year-old paternity secret. We hope we can bring some resolution today. Mr. Cooper, your mother recently came clean that the man you believe to be your dad is not your biological father, and the defendant is. Ms. Cooper, you say you held the secret for just too long, and you felt your son deserved to know that Mr. Newby is his father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Newby, you were stunned by the news that you may be the father to a child you had never met, and you're in court today to defend your belief that you are not his dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cooper, what happened 2 months ago that started all of this?
I get a call about 3 o'clock in the morning. My mama called and told me that the person she told me was my daddy wasn't my father, that this gentleman was, and to go online and look him up.
And this is what your mother tells you?
Yes.
What are you thinking?
All kind of things. I mean, she was like, don't be mad at her or whatever. A lot of things ran through my mind.
Like
I
what?
thought it was a joke, actually, honestly. I thought she was playing.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that was so far outside of your realm of thinking.
Yeah.
And so, Ms. Cooper, what made you make that call at 3 a.m.?
I mean, this has been building up in me, Your Honor, for a while. I mean, and it's not like the first time either I tried to get in touch with Mr. Newby. I just had no way to get in touch with Mr. Newby. Mm-hmm. And it's just been weighing on my heart and my mind. And it's something I thought my son deserved to know.
So at 3 in the morning, you just said, this is it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You kept this secret
Yes.
for 34 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you made the call, did you think your son would be able to receive the news, or you just felt like you couldn't hold it anymore?
I mean, I really didn't know how Dante was gonna take it, but it was something I had to get off of my chest. I had to let him know.
Why keep a secret for 34 years?
I was very young, a teenager, when this all happened. And like me and Mr. Newby, we were very good friends back then. If I told my parents that Mr. Newby was Dante's dad, then I thought, being a kid, that we wouldn't be able to be friends anymore or play it together anymore. It's like I didn't want to get Mr. Newby in trouble. So I held this secret to myself, not telling anybody, never.
So when you found out you were pregnant, who did you tell?
And that's another thing, Your Honor. I didn't know I was pregnant. I didn't know I was pregnant until I was 5 months pregnant. I didn't know what pregnancy was. And then I had a teenage friend that was pregnant also at the time. And she was kind of the one that told me that she thought I might be pregnant too.
Wow, so you're so young that when you become pregnant, you don't even know.
Yes, Your
because
Honor.
you don't know you don't experience the changes in your body. You don't even know what's going on. And it was another friend of yours that was also a teen that says, I think you're pregnant too.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she was pregnant. So who did you tell?
Well, at that time that I was pregnant, just her.
Just her?
Yes.
Did you tell her that you believe Mr. Newby was the father of your child?
No, Your Honor.
How did your parents ever find out?
It was time to go back to school. And over the summer, I had gained weight. And my mom was buying school clothes, and she was like, that's not right. I mean, I've always been a small person, and I went 2 sizes up. And she was like, this is not right. I mean, and she asked me questions like, was I messing with little boys and everything? And I told her no, I mean, but she figured out that, I was pregnant too.
And so when she said, were you messing with little boys, you said no, it comes out. What happens the day she finds out you're really pregnant?
In my 8th month, she took me to the doctor, and when I had my exam, and he came back and he told my mom, yes, ma'am, she's pregnant, and she's very, very pregnant.
Wow. And you didn't go to the doctor, and your parents didn't know until you were 8 months pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
At that time, I'm sure she asked you who the father was.
There was another, childhood friend that I went to a dance with, and she just knew me and Mr. Newby to be just as friends, but this other guy I went to the dance with, she just assumed that he was the father, and that's what, she said it, and that's what it was.
She said it, and you did not contradict her, or you never mentioned Mr. Newby?
No, Your Honor.
And that goes back to you saying that you were afraid that if you said Mr. Newby's name, you all would be separated. You would not be allowed to see him anymore. And this other man, the one that your mother basically said, this is the father. This is the man that your son Dante, Mr. Cooper, believes is his biological father.
Yes.
Mr. Newby?
Yes, Your Honor.
Take me back to the day you found out that you potentially could be Mr. Cooper, Dante's father. What happened that day?
I got a message on Messenger because I was friends with her on Facebook. And I got my messenger popped up and I looked on there and it said, "You're not gonna believe this, this is your child, real talk," and with a picture of Dante on it. And I said, "What?" And then I texted her back and she didn't say nothing. And I said, "You can't drop a bombshell on me like that and don't elaborate." And I waited until she finally responded. And then I said, "Does he know this?" I said, "Because how could I be the father? I never seen you pregnant."
So you never knew she was pregnant?
I never seen her pregnant.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So you never saw her pregnant?
No, Your Honor.
How is it, she said when she went back to school, she had gained 2 sizes. You weren't in school when...
We didn't participate at the same school.
You didn't go to the same school?
No, well, we only seen each other after school, summer times. We moved to Fort Hood, Texas. And that's the last. I'd never seen her until that message.
And so you had not seen her, heard anything about Dante, Mr. Cooper, your whole life?
Not one
Until
word.
you get this message on Facebook?
Yes, ma'am. Wow. Yes, Your Honor.
You submitted that message to the court. This message says, "You know what I gotta tell you, some real life. This is your son."
That's the first time I heard anything about this in 34 years.
Wow. What did you do at that point that you got the message?
I was just stunned, so I kept asking her questions. I asked her, "Does he know about this? How could I be the father? I mean, I never seen her pregnant. We all was kids. We all was messing with each other and all that kind of stuff back in the day. My family member was involved. There was another girl involved and all of that kind of stuff. So when I found out, I thought it could be him also."
Wait, I want to understand this. So you're saying all of you all were young teens experimenting with sex?
Yes, Your Honor.
Unprotected, because at that time, we didn't have
No
as much
sex
talk
education.
about safe sex and stuff like
Right.
that. So you're saying that there was also a sexual relationship between Miss Cooper and another family member of yours?
I don't recall that though, Your Honor, but okay, I don't remember that.
So Mr. Newby, you still feel in disbelief at this point. You see pictures of Mr. Cooper. Are you now curious? What do you do at this point? I mean, this is news 34 years later.
I showed my family members exactly that right there and asked them what did they think.
And what did they say?
Everybody said he looks like you.
It's interesting, you all both have that toothpick sitting out the side of your mouth.
That's what I'm laughing at.
Well, I say that because my father does that too with the toothpick, and it just goes down the line. It's amazing, but you know, a lot of men do that. But when you look at that picture, that's what makes you laugh, the way you're holding that toothpick.
Yeah.
Mr. Cooper, did you have a relationship with the other man
Nah.
that you believed was your biological father all these years?
No, Your Honor.
You didn't have a relationship with him.
No.
How did that affect you growing up?
Man, it played its part, you know. I got off the porch a little early, you know what I'm saying?
So when you say you got off the porch a little early, I think that means when you are a kid, you're supposed to stay on the porch. That's where you're supposed to be safe. You're not out in the streets. So meaning you got off the porch and you said you were in the streets a little early.
Yeah.
Did you get in trouble as a kid?
Yes. A whole bunch of it.
And Miss Cooper, when you watched your son getting into this trouble, are you thinking in your mind at that time if he had known his father?
When Dante got about 10, it was like trouble with school and stuff. And that's like the first time if I could have found Mr. Newby, I would have found him. I thought like maybe if I found him, it might help Dante out a little bit. But Dante always had my father too, and my father is a good father. My
Great
father and
man.
mother are still married.
A great
and
man.
He's still in my life.
So you had your grandfather.
Yes, he had a good role model.
But you still say there were moments when you'd look at your son and you'd say, I wish I could find Mr. Newby.
Yes.
And let's be clear, back then when Mr. Cooper was 10 years old, there was no Facebook.
No, it wasn't.
So these ways that we can so readily find
Right.
people now, you had none of that.
No.
You didn't even have cell phone back then.
And then sometimes I felt like it was okay. We did it this long. We did it. But he had my father. He had my brother.
But he didn't have me. If I was
Yeah,
his
and
daddy,
I understand that
was
too.
all.
Yes, that I understand it.
And I can see that this hurts you, sir.
Now we do.
I feel like I stole something from you and Dante. That's why it weighed so heavy, and I couldn't hold it any longer.
Ooh.
It's a lot to process, isn't it, Mr. Newby?
Ooh. He'll never get to know what a great man my father was. It's kind of hit me a little.
It's all right. I mean, I think...
A little more than it was hitting me. It's hitting me a little bit more because I think back on how my father raised me and how he treated my grandkids and stuff like that. And he missed out on all of that stuff. And so now it's like hit me. I'm just thinking about how my dad would have loved him, how he would have loved my dad. And now it's kind of hurting real bad.
I understand.
When I think about it.
Mr. Cooper, when you hear Mr. Newby talk about the things he feels like you missed, what do you feel?
I really don't know how to feel about the situation. I mean, I feel his pain, you know, me being a father, you know what I'm saying? I can relate to the Miss House situation. By me not having a father, so it really don't, you know, I done deal with this 34 years. Something I want to know, you know, for the sake of my kids, you know, and, you know, start from right now and move forward.
And so, Ms. Cooper, I think we need to talk about the fact that at your age when this happened, we were growing up in a time where a young girl in your position, there was a lot of shame attached to that.
Yes, it was.
And back then, it was about shame and secrecy. That's how most people handled it. And so, as a young girl, when you don't even know enough to know that you're pregnant, when your mother says the story that this little boy is the father, I do understand how a young girl would not be strong enough to say, well, no, mommy, it's not. It's really someone else. And I think we need to acknowledge that because we can't look at this situation under today's lens. Once Mr. Newby said he moved away to a whole different state, it's probably difficult to even find him if you wanted to.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Newby, you brought a witness and I'd like to hear from her. Please stand, ma'am. State your name for the court.
Lindsay Robinson,
Miss Robinson, you are Mr. Newby's
oldest daughter.
oldest daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
So, do you think Mr. Cooper is your father's son, is your brother?
Well, Your Honor, seriously, I really don't know.
So, when you see your father's pain, how does that make you feel?
It hurts because we've been through so much with our family and he missed out. I mean, if this happens to be Mr. Newby's son, there's a lot of things we missed out on together as a family. But I guess we just have to take it for what it is and hopefully we can become a family and go on from this day.
Build relationships from this point forward. That's all we can do.
And so, if in fact Mr. Cooper is determined to be your father's biological son, your brother, is your family willing to accept him and open
Yes,
to
ma'am.
that?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
my kids are. All my kids. Everybody.
How does it feel to hear that, Mr. Cooper?
It's good.
Good. Well, the only way we're going to move forward is to get the results, and I have them for you. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read, as follows. In the case of Cooper versus Newby, when it comes to 34-year-old Dante Cooper, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Newby, you are not the father. Do you know who Mr. Cooper's father is? Who is it?
What he was saying.
Which would explain the family resemblance. And I appreciate, for the sake of your son, you just being honest, because the secrets we keep inside, they affect us just as much, if not more, than the people we're trying to keep them from. Mr. Maxon, you testify that you had to open your case today because the defendant is doing what she does best, pinning babies on innocent men.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say she is now seeking financial help from your mother, and in order to stop her from taking advantage of your family, you need to prove that you did not father her 3-year-old daughter, Alana Gearing. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Gearing, you say you are certain that Mr. Maxon is your daughter's biological father. You are tired of being a single mother and say once the results are revealed today, you expect Mr. Maxon to man up and take care of his responsibilities. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Maxon, why do you think Ms. Gearing is trying to pin her baby on you?
For one, Your Honor, I didn't know anything about the baby until after she had the child.
And so how did you find out?
She contacted my mom and told my mom about it, and my mom told me, and once I found out, I had my mom to contact her so I can get a paternity test.
Oh, so immediately upon hearing, you said, hold on, I need a paternity test.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because from the outset, you didn't think the child was yours.
Exactly, Your Honor.
Ms. Gearing, you didn't tell Mr. Maxon anything about the baby until after the baby was born?
No, ma'am. When I found out I was pregnant, he was in Las Vegas with another woman. I thought he was going for music. I contacted Trinidad and I told him I was pregnant. He said he wanted to come back. I sent him some money, $250 to be exact, and thought he was coming back, and he never came back, and he never called me.
Did you bring proof of that?
Afterwards,
Did you bring proof of that?
afterwards, I did contact his mom after I had the baby, and when I heard from her, she was like, yeah, that's my grandbaby. And his mom even came here because she was driving trucks. And I brought my baby to see her.
One at a time.
I brought my baby to see her when she came here because she was driving trucks. And she was like, oh, yes, I know this is my grandbaby.
No.
So, Ms. Williams?
Jasmine contacted me and she said, I'm pregnant by your son. This was before she even had the baby. So I didn't hear anything else from Jasmine until after she had the baby. And I contacted her and I said, Jasmine, can you bring the baby over so that I could see the baby? And I saw the baby, but I didn't see no resemblance of my son in that baby.
Ms. Gearing testified that you said that's my grandbaby.
No, I never told her that.
I know 200% that that's his child.
If you
All
knew
right.
200% that was my child when I asked you for a paternity test, at first when I found out and you refused, you would have gave it to me.
Because
If
my
that's the
baby was
truth
too
now.
small.
So hold on,
That's the truth.
Yes, I did deny the
Mr.
first
Maxon,
time.
I need to hear that. Can you please tell the court what happened when you asked for a paternity test?
When I asked her for a paternity test, she told me, no, this is your child.
She said no, because I was on the phone
Wait,
with her.
was she pregnant? Was the baby born?
Baby
When
was
was the
already
baby?
She was
here.
born, she was like 4 weeks.
Why, Ms. Gearing? Why not just say, you know what, let's take this DNA test so you can just be quiet?
Because for one, I was already going through a lot. I had my baby a month early, and then with him not coming in the picture like during my pregnancy when he claimed he was gonna be there, it was just too much already. So,
I don't care how much you're going through. If you want to know if that's his baby,
his
you
mom
would
was
say
being
yes.
two-faced because
Exactly.
What I
I
need
didn't
to
get it.
understand now is how we got here. I don't understand
first
it.
of all, Your Honor-
So wait, were you all boyfriend and girlfriend when this happened?
No.
No, we actually, when I went back to Mississippi with my grandmother, and I did contact him first on Facebook, and it just kicked off from there. And then he moved back here to Atlanta, so I came back, and he was at my house.
So you knew
day
each
and
other
night.
before.
Yes, we been knew each other when we was younger, stayed on the same street. Back then.
We lived down the street from each other, and I've never known nothing about this lady.
But wait.
Even back then, me and her had no dealings. She knew of me, and I knew of her. We never was talked or.
But at some point, you obviously were intimate, or we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, when she contacted me on Facebook.
Okay, so you.
Yes, I did contact him first on Facebook, and he came out to my grandmother's house. One thing led to another. He was at my house day and night before he went to
Wait,
work.
hold on. One thing led to another at your grandmother's house?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Who has sex at their grandmother's house? With no protection.
No protection.
So apparently she was trying to stick a baby on him.
But hold on. No. The issue I'm having is that, okay, were you dating anybody else at that time?
No,
because I mean, this was the first night.
I wasn't dating anyone. And when we moved back here, I still wasn't dating anyone.
Your Honor, she was still involved because she told me this out of her own mouth. She was still involved with another guy. Like I said, our relationship was not, we was not in a relationship. We was not coupled.
How did you know she was still with her ex?
She told me.
Out of her mouth?
Yeah.
What did she say?
Sometimes when I'd be at her house, she'll video call him on Facebook and tell me to be quiet while she talked to him. And I'm sitting right next to her.
So that makes him the dummy. Why would he still stay if I'm still dealing with somebody else?
It's
I
really
wasn't dealing with
not about
anybody.
him being a dummy. It's really about his doubt.
We wasn't a couple. We was just, we'll kick it every now and
Having
then.
sex unprotected.
Basically.
It was, and that's a lie too, Your Honor. We was using protection. And this is another reason why I say that this child is not mine. She probably was taking the condoms when I leave and injecting herself.
So it is your testimony that you always used protection
Yes, Your Honor.
with Ms. Gearing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Never once
Never once.
did the condom break.
Never.
Did you not use one?
Never.
And Ms. Gearing, you're saying that is a complete
We
lie.
never used protection. Honestly, from the first day, we never used protection.
So I just want to ask Ms. Gearing one question. Do your baby have asthma?
No.
Trinard has had asthma and his other kids do too. So all of a sudden, he got this one kid that don't have no resemblance and no asthma.
No resemblance.
I don't see it.
But you always call
She
me
look
and
like
tell
you.
me.
When do I call you, Jasmine?
So you haven't reached out
You
to my
always
baby?
reached out to
and
me.
ma'am, I do have evidence from when I did reach out to
I would
Trinard.
like to see that.
Here you go.
You.
In January of 2016, I asked him, can you at least see how your child is doing? He texted me 2 months later, asked for a favor to borrow some money, and I told him no. So then he went to say, don't contact me anymore. So who need who? I never asked him for money. Only thing I want him to do, you can buy your daughter some clothes and some shoes
Well,
and
you
give
asked
it to
me
her.
for money
You don't
to buy
have
your baby Pampers.
Okay, you only sent me
You asked me
$20.
for-
It wasn't your responsibility.
And that was all I
You
was
should have
supposed
told
to
your
send
grown
you.
dad
All right,
man
ladies.
to do it.
All right,
You
ladies,
told your grown dad to do it.
Ladies, let's get some order. Ms. Gearing, you've submitted evidence to this court.
Yes, ma'am. That's the
This
first thing I
evidence
sent to them.
is a text message on January 30th, 2016.
Yes, ma'am.
So you sent a picture of Alana.
Yes, ma'am.
And you type, you can ask how she's doing.
Yeah.
And the response was nothing.
Nothing. As you can see, it's blank.
That's January the 30th.
So 2 months later.
Mr. Maxon answers 2 months later on March 14th and says, I need a favor. You write, really? You don't call and even check on your daughter? And Mr. Maxon writes, can I get a favor or not? It's a simple yes or no. What was the favor?
He needed some money. And after I told him no,
Your Honor,
well,
I
you don't
don't
have no reason to contact me anymore.
Your Honor, that's not
exactly
even
what he
me.
said.
That's not me texting her. I don't know where she get that from, but that's not even me.
So that's lying?
And that's being honest. That's being
not
honest.
you?
If you text
So
me
your name
on
not at the
Facebook,
top?
it'll have my name, Trinard Maxon.
Wow.
Right or wrong? Right or
Really?
wrong?
Trinard, that is you.
Hold on. When she texts you about Alana, you responded?
No, she never did text me about it. She contacts my mother. That's why I'm. That's why.
Well, she did contact me about some Pampers and some shoes.
Yes, I really did.
I
She only
sent
sent
her $20
$20 to get diapers.
Yes, because
Yes, she
if it was
did.
anybody in this room and you needed Pampers for your baby, yes, I would give. That still doesn't
You know-
say that's my grandbaby.
Williams, you're telling me what you did for the baby or what you would do for the baby.
But
Mr.
what did he
Maxon,
do?
what have you done for Alana?
Nothing.
Nothing. I asked her for a blood test, a DNA test. She refused.
Okay,
So,
well, we're about to see right now. We're going to see what you're going to do after you
So
find
hold
out
on.
that she
So
yours.
hold on. Mr. Maxon, I want to understand. Are you saying Alana's 3 years old?
Yes.
You have done nothing for this baby. Not
Nothing.
a shoe, not a
no,
dress,
Your Honor,
not
I
a...
don't
seen
know
her
if this-
once.
I don't know if she's mine
Only
or
seen
not.
her once.
Like I say, when I first found out about it, I asked her for a DNA test. She refused. What else? I mean, what
So
else?
have you spent any time with her?
No.
He seen my baby one time.
What?
And she was like 5 or 6 months. I was at my
Yeah,
aunt's
through a
house.
picture?
His mom came and picked my baby up. Her and her daughter came and picked my baby up.
I did not pick your baby up, Jasmine.
What
I
in
was
the
about to
world?
get your baby.
Oh, Lord.
I
I was about to take the baby with me. The baby started
she
crying.
took my baby. My
I
baby
left
was
the
5
baby
months.
right there with her.
No, she came to pick my baby up and took my baby to wherever Trinai was, wherever they had their little gathering at. And she the one that told me my baby was crying, and Trinai was like, hey,
Your Honor,
what you
that's
crying for?
That's a lie.
And that
I
was, my
never
baby was like
in
5 or 6
person
months.
seen the baby.
Hold
I
on.
seen the baby through a picture.
Okay.
You saw the baby through a picture
Through
only.
a picture that she sent to my mom.
So you've never, ever met Alana?
Ever.
Lies.
Ever.
Lies.
Ever.
Lies.
Ever.
He lied through his teeth.
Ever.
Mr. Maxon and Miss Gearing, this court's concern is there's a 3-year-old little girl that really has no relationship with a father, doesn't really know who her father is. It's sad for her. I'm sad for Alana.
He don't care.
Now, Your Honor, first of all, when I asked her for a DNA test, it was to me, trying to make sure this is my child. Now, when this DNA test come back, if it come back, it's my child, I have no problem with taking care of my business because I'm a man for anything. And I'm a great father, and I provide for mine. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna be made out of a fool to claim something that's not mine.
She is not something. She's a child. Get it right.
Miss Gearing, so you've been doing this by yourself.
Yes, ma'am. No problem with it.
And I can see that makes you emotional and angry that you've been doing this alone. And I know this is difficult for you. What are you feeling in this moment?
Well, honestly, I feel sad for my baby because she do ask, where's my dad? So when my other kids do see their dad, she was like, Mommy, where's my daddy?
So when she asks you, what do you tell her?
The only thing I say is like, he'll come around. I
Oh,
don't
he
tell
will
her-
come around.
Yes, ma'am. That's what I tell her. I don't tell her that, he is denying her or he don't want to be in her life because she still wouldn't understand.
Even when they don't quite understand it, what we've learned through helping hundreds and hundreds of families that it'll be another child that just will say,
Yeah.
that's not your daddy, that's my daddy.
Yeah,
And they may mean it maliciously or they may mean it just as plainly, just that
Right.
these are facts. But
she don't deserve it
regardless, the
because she
child
asked to
knows.
be here. Me and him made her, so she don't deserve it at all.
Could have just gave me the blood test off the top.
So, Mr. Maxon, Mr. Maxon,
After I had my baby, after when he did contact me, yes, he did contact me, and I told him, that I didn't want to do it. I mean, I was going through a lot.
But see, this is a great example of what's happening in this courtroom now. When people get all up in their feelings, it becomes about you all instead of about the innocent child.
Right.
So the moment when they asked you for the DNA test, you were still mad because he didn't return your text when you tried to contact him in the first place, that you said no, because you weren't thinking clearly that,
Right.
you know what, if I know this man made this baby, if I go ahead and get this DNA test done right now and put my thoughts and my feelings out of this, then my baby won't have to be 3 years old, still not knowing who her father is or still understanding that, oh, my daddy's not coming and I gotta tell her he'll come around. We
Right.
could have done this before she would even know this.
Exactly.
Because she's the one losing out. So you say, Mr. Maxon, you're gonna step up.
No problem.
You have no problem with it.
No problem, Your Honor.
And what are you feeling now, Miss Williams? You just feel like it's just been a long...
It's just, it's stressful. Him not knowing. She calling and saying this and saying that, if she would have, like he said, if she would have just given him that DNA, this could have been all behind us.
After you give birth, you so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I do have compassion for how as a mother, she could have just been like, I can't do one more thing right now. But I do understand, and I can see how you all have gotten here. And most importantly, Mr. Maxon, from your perspective, I do get that. I hear men all the time say, when you ask for that DNA test and that person says no, I don't care what good reason they may have. That no will always trigger a doubt. But we're gonna end it today.
Yes, ma'am.
We have the result. Jerome? Ms. Gearing, before I open this envelope, I have to ask you, am I going to get a surprise? Is there something you need to just own up to right now?
No, ma'am. I wasn't talking to anyone.
You're sure?
I'm positive.
Okay. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Maxon versus Gearing, when it comes to 3-year-old Alana Gearing, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Maxon, you are the father.
I knew it.
That's your little girl, Mr. Maxon.
I'm just glad to know the truth.